Welcome back to the Peer Purpose Podcast. Man, I missed y'all. It's been such a long time since I've been back here. We just took a couple of weeks off, a lot of things going on, but I saw that you all have been listening when I was gone. And so I love that. Again, plenty of content out there for you, but we are going to jump off here with season 3. Excited that this has been such a great response. And we're going to keep bringing more at you. So I'm back in studio today. We are going to talk about, because I talk a lot about different things, right? And I talk about getting healthy. And I want to be able to bring this whole experience around for you all. And sometimes I understand people can say things and we can get the gist of it, but there is actually a bigger process to the whole thing. And so you can think, okay, we're going to get healthy, right? And I got healthy. Okay, Bobby, I'm healthy. My emotions are in check. I'm able to be more mature, right? I'm processing my emotions more. I'm being able to have good relationships in my life. But as we go through the process, we find out that there's actually layers, right? And so I'm going to talk today about, okay, Bobby, I got healthy. Then why am I still in a place where I still go through these ruts of there's more stuff that I have to go through? And so I want to be able to explain that today. I want to be able to talk to you guys about what that may look like. And I understand what that is, because what happens is there are layers. You got to understand as we go through the healing process, right? Whether it's our emotions, whether it's trauma we faced in our life, whether it's bad relationships, trust issues, whatever it is, right? Whatever that thing is for you, sure, there's a level of something that you can see right now in front of you and that healing that does need to take place. But at the same time, as you get through that first layer of healing, you'll go deeper because there's always going to be another layer. And so what happens when you get healthy and your heart is sick again? You know, I understand that. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about that today, and I'm going to talk to you about just kind of what to look for in that and to understand that there is a process to this thing. Okay, and you may get through a level of healing and you're feeling good, and for a season or whatever it is, you're actually thriving. Things are going well, right? You're having good relationships. You are understanding your emotions. The storms of life aren't holding you back now anymore, right? I remember when I was in a position in my life years and years and years ago, when I would hit the storms of life, a lot of the storms that I encountered would literally derail me for 1 to 2 years. And I remember that frustration of, gosh, when am I going to get over this? And I remember for many years, I actually didn't know how to heal through it. So I would just kind of try to withstand the storm as much as I could. And I actually just got a picture in my head of like when you have a tornado going all around you and it's like you're trying to stay planted and hold on to a tree or something, and you're really just being taken by the wind. That's literally what I tried to do. And what we try to do many times is when we go through the storms of life, we actually just try to hunker in as best we can until it passes. Well, I'm going to tell you, you really won't learn a lot in those seasons if you do that. And so you have to understand that as we hit one storm of life and we go through that and we get to the other side and we start healing from that, that even when we get through that, there may be another layer coming that you're going to have to go through. Okay? But one thing that I have learned with this is that you should not get discouraged in the process of healing. You should not get discouraged if you have 3 to 5 years in and you're doing really well, and all of a sudden now there's these insecurities popping up that you thought were gone, right? And so you have to look at it as an onion. Life is an onion. We have many years of layers that we have to work through. For me, it's 37, and I've been in this position where I got healthy in 2015, 16, 17, 18, and then I moved to Casper, Wyoming, and all of a sudden now there's new layers. I'm like, whoa, what is this? I thought I was over this. And then I even go through some of that, and then a year or two later, there's more. And I'm like, wow. But one thing I've learned is that if I have humility in this process, and I'm in a position where I say, okay, even if I go through some healing, doesn't mean there's not going to be more to do. I can always figure out what I'm learning in that time. Because at the end of the day, the goal is to build as much armor up as you can, fill your reserve tank, so when you go through those hard times and those other layers are being peeled back, you'll know exactly how to handle that season. Actually, just today, I was in church and my pastor was talking about, I believe some of you can change your perspective on some of the past hard seasons you've went through to say, you know what, that wasn't necessarily a bad thing. It can actually be a good thing. And you can look at what you learned in those times. You can look at what you were equipped for the future in those times. And that's how I actually love to look at things. I don't look at my past, and my past has a lot of wreckage, right? A lot of it's been cleaned up, but I don't look at it as the bad things. I look at it like, what did I learn in those seasons? How did I learn how to have those hardships, and how did I learn how to navigate those? And I didn't just hunker in and made sure it just passed, because that wasn't going to get me anywhere. I hunkered in, I did the hard things, I met it head on, and you're able to get through. And now I'll be honest with you, some of those times, y'all, they last longer than you want them to. I will give you that. But the long and the short of it is, when you get to the other side of those, you are going to be further along for the next season, and you're going to accomplish more than you did in the previous season, the previous time. Each time I found that as we get through and as we continue moving forward, we always are further along because we've learned the right things, we've healed in the right ways, and now we're able to tier up, go to the next tier, okay? So there's a couple things I want to share with you in this today, and one of the first things that I want you to share with you is, don't get discouraged, okay? Don't get discouraged in the process. There's going to be many times where it feels like you're just repeating the cycle over and over again. And don't get me wrong, you can repeat the cycle. And you will repeat the cycle if you just choose not to do anything in it, and you choose not to get the proper help, and you choose not to let people walk with you through the chaos. You will repeat the cycle. But don't get discouraged when you feel like you've done a lot of hard work and then you're going along a little bit and then all of a sudden here comes something else to the surface. One thing that I really want us to understand today is that when things rise to the surface and when they start really becoming, because a lot of times we keep things in, right? People can keep things in and others don't know those things, right? I'm sure if you've been like me in the past, we can tend to hide the inner insecurities from other people, and there's maybe times where they will not see it. But there actually comes a point where those things will start rising to the top and they actually start coming out in your everyday life, okay? And so understanding that when they rise to the top, that's when you can't hide them anymore, and that's when it's time to go through it. And so understanding, do not get discouraged. It will feel like you're repeating the cycle, but I promise you at the end of the day, it's just another layer being peeled back. And then it's time to go to work in that time and in that healing. And then we say, okay, this is what I'm going to learn. These are the right people to walk with me through this. Bring people all the way through the process with you. Find the safe people that understand your journey and your process and understand that it is layers where you can have grace to work through those, okay? Bring those people along with you from start to finish. And one thing you at least know is this, is that you're not in it alone. You know, recently I actually was talking to a mentor of mine, and I think this story is actually fitting for what I'm talking about today, because they called me, and there was two of them that I have, a husband and wife duo, but the husband was talking to me. He said, hey, I just want you to know, Bobby. He's like, you're not alone. We're in this with you. We're cheering you on. We're here to give you advice. We're here to be that safe place. What did that tell me? That didn't tell me, well, he was going to do it for me, because he can't, right? That didn't tell me, well, you know, at the end of the day, I'll take some of the burden and I'll give it to them. No, he said, hey, you got to go through this thing, whatever it is, right? Because we all have hard times. You got to walk through this, Bobby. Whatever that is, whatever the thing may be. The thing may not even be here yet, but whatever that is, you have to walk through it yourself. You have to do the work. You have to take on the hard things at that time. But I just want you to know you don't have to do it alone. Sometimes we think if someone's with us, that means they have to take the responsibility of what we're struggling with. No, that doesn't mean that. What it means is they can stand with us arm in arm, locked up, and we're walking through together. But you're going to do the heavy, heavy lifting. They'll carry some of it, but don't get discouraged because you don't have to do it alone. Bring people through the process with you. Understand it's just a layer. And honestly, you can get to the place where you start looking at those seasons that there's more layers coming up. And some, I'll be honest, some of those seasons are going to be back to back. You're going to get through one layer, but go, okay, I'm to the other side. All of a sudden, short time later, here comes another thing. Boom. Some of those seasons will feel back to back. But at the end of the day, understand that you can look at some of those seasons as an adventure and say, wow, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen through this, but I can tell you this. I'm going to get through it. I may think it's harder to get through, and I may not think I do it well, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to get through it. And I'm going to see what I learned through this. And on top of that, I'm going to see the upgrade on the other side of this because there's always upgrade with every layer peeled back. You can't get the upgrade before you heal the layer, but there's always upgrade on the other side of that. And so understanding that today, okay? Keeping that in mind, don't get discouraged. Don't get weary in doing well. It may feel like you're not doing it gracefully, but I promise you, you are. Okay? Another thing I want you to look at is learn to have humility in those times. Because I can tell you this, there's going to be nothing fruitful for you. There's nothing good going to come out of you being prideful and egotistical about the hard seasons you're going through. Learn to have humility and say, you know what? Gosh, this isn't fun. But at the end of the day, maybe I needed to be humbled in this area. Maybe there's something new I needed to learn in this area. Because again, I've said this many times on here, the more you prolong this thing and the more you just let the pain sit there, the longer it is you wait till you get to your destiny. Okay? We have no choice, people. We have to go through these hard things in order to get to where we want to go. And just hunkering down and waiting till that season is over, you won't learn anything. And I promise you, you'll go through it again. One of the things I want you to understand, especially when it comes to people and relationships, actually just put it like this. I won't even equate it to people. I'm talking about seasons of life. How you leave one season is how you're going to enter the next season. Let me say that again. How you leave one season, that's how you're going to enter the next season. It's inevitable. You will not enter, if you leave one season really, really badly, and it just wasn't great, and you left a mess, the next season's going to start off that same way. And sometimes it's going to feel like maybe you didn't finish something well. Maybe a relationship ended before you wanted it to. Maybe it had to be that way. Okay, whatever it may be. But nonetheless, try to get through those seasons in the best way you can because that's how you're going to enter the next season. Okay? Understanding, have humility. Being in a place where you say, maybe I need to be humbled. You know, I went through a tough time last year. I've said this on here many times. I'm not here to glorify it. But the reality is it's true. And I'm a human being, and I'm going to always be real and transparent. I went through a tough time last year. And I had to humble myself to say, you know what? Maybe my pride was a little too much. Maybe the praises of man got to me a little bit more because of what I do. And maybe it was a good thing for me to be humbled. And when I took that posture, I realized that I was owed nothing. And it was time to get to work. And I'm not exempt from any of it. I have layers too. And not to mention, I've said this before on here. If I haven't, I'll say it right now. I know I've said it on like a social media video. If I'm teaching on something, you best believe I'm going to be tested on it. If I'm teaching how to be healthy in my emotions, you don't think I'm going to get tested in that area? Absolutely. I'm going to have perfect opportunities. I'm going to have perfect opportunities to test that. If I'm teaching on relationships and how to get healthy there, you don't think my relationships are going to be stretched? Absolutely they are. No ifs, no ands, no buts about it. Right? But understanding the layers, that's part of it. The only difference is now you have built up your immunity, so now it doesn't derail you like it used to be. Okay? One of the last things I want to give you today is try not to blame in these situations. When it comes to peeling back the layers, when it comes to understanding that there's going to be other level, deeper level of healing, try not to blame. There may be insecurities coming out, whatever it may be. Don't blame other people. Don't try to put them on the relationships in your life. Don't say, oh, you're the reason why this is happening. No. If it's bubbling up inside of you, you have to know that as an inside job, and there's going to be nothing externally that will help. You have to understand that blaming only prolongs it. So take ownership, embrace it. Embrace the layers, okay? Matter of fact, when we put this out, we're going to do hashtag embrace the layers when we put this out as a short. But embrace the layers. Don't blame. Don't get discouraged. Don't get weary in doing well. Understand that, yes, it may look like it's repeating the cycle, but I promise you it's going to be different because you are actually doing each and every layer well. Okay? Try to get to a position where you have humility, and then don't blame. If you can do those things, when your heart becomes sick again after you've gone through some healing, I promise you, you will get better. Okay? We have layers. So that's why, baby, some of you may be experiencing some of the same, like you feel like you're not growing. I would actually venture out to say that it's the idea that maybe you're just seeing another layer because, you're maybe 20, 21, 15. That's 15 years of layers, 20 years of layers. For me, it's 37 years of layers. Life lived of things that happened, right? And so you have to understand that there's some deep, deep rooted things that we're going to have to come out of, especially if we want to be healthy, whole living, because anything else, you'll rob yourself. Okay? Don't get me wrong. Not every aspect of you or your relationships or whatever it may be, your emotions will be healthy all the time. There's a human aspect that we're always working through because healing is a lifelong process. But as we continue to move further in life and mature more and work through things, we get better. We get better. It's time we start taking responsibility for ourselves. I say this all the time. It's time we start getting to a position where we start owning it. We embrace the layers and we say, man, this is just another opportunity to go further. Okay? As I've said many times, it's not enough just to sit in a room with someone that can help you. You actually have to do the work that they're telling you to do. And so once we start doing the work, that's when we start seeing the change. I'll say that again. Once we start doing the work, that's when we start seeing the change. You're going to be okay. I'm with you. Okay? Embrace the layers. Continue to live whole in a full life. There's so much gold inside of you. It's going to help you walk the greatness outside of you. Keep climbing. We're going to do it together. and I'll see you next time.